Coming to work and approaching the business from a selfless mindset. How can I make the community better? How can I make my coworkers' job easier?
Welcome to the Business and Pleasure of Flowers. We're your hosts, Vonda Lefevre
and Lori Wilson, and we believe that business and fun are a perfect combination. Kind of like us, Vonda.
Hey, Vonda, we have a guest we've been trying to get on here for a while, and is one of our clickers, one of our favorite clickers. We have Monty Pereira from Watanabe. So I reached out to you, Monty, right before Mother's Day and asked if you would be on it. And I don't know that I was clear at the time that I meant sometimes after Mother's Day, but you quickly said yes. And you were so sweet to do that. But we finally got you on here.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk story with you all.
Well, I have about 500 questions for and we have 30 minutes, so we'll do what we can, and Vonda will do her magic. But first, for those that don't know who you are or where you live in the coolest part of the United States, I think. Tell everyone a little bit about you and where you live and your store.
All right. My name is Monty Pereira. I'm born and raised on the island of Hawaii, which is the big island in the state. I came to Watanabe Floral, which is where I work now, about 28 years ago as the accountant. I'm a CPA by trade.
Oh my gosh.
So I graduated in accounting from the University of Hawaii, passed my CPA exam, worked in public accounting for a few years, and then came to Watanabe Floral as the accountant. But my personality is much better a fit for marketing and management than it is for accounting. And accounting is tremendous knowledge to have. It allows me to take apart a financial statement, but it was just boring. So I migrated eventually out of accounting became first a commercial manager, then the sales and marketing director, and now added the title of general manager as well. So that's just like a brief history of where I've come from and how I got to the point that I'm at now.
You were not in the right place, as you said, with your personality. That wasn't a fit to sit in front of a desk doing numbers all the time.
Right. So growing up, I loved numbers. I loved statistics. Those things were fun. But when I got into the accounting world, it's like, man, this is monotonous. This is not the kind of numbers that I was interested in. So it became pretty obvious that I was going to have to migrate at some point. And Watanabe Floral was the perfect transition because I didn't have to leave the company. I just had to shift my focus on what I was doing.
That's cool. Wow.
I'm shocked. Like, I feel like you're pranking me right now.
But the other person who was in accounting and did that was Tim Farrell. I'm sure you know.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He was in accounting and then opened his own flower shop.
Yeah, Cameron Pappas at Norton's. He's in accounting.
Wow.
And he's very extroverted and, loves marketing and all of the things. He's always sending me books that he's reading that are marketing. So it's crazy. And you, Vonda, I mean, you're not an accountant, but you love all the numbers and spreadsheets and all of that kind of stuff. So anyway, so you didn't grow up with any kind of floral background.
No, I didn't grow up with any kind of floral background. Now, on the Big Island is where most of the tropical flowers in Hawaii comes from, and that's where it's being shipped out of. So I grew up around flowers, and growing up, I went to the grave with my grandparents weekly. Yeah. So we'd stop at a flower shop right there, pick up some flowers, go to the grave and do that. So I had an appreciation for flowers, but it wasn't until I got to Watanabe Floral that my passion for flowers and the industry took shape. That has evolved over time.
Yeah. So let's sit with that a little bit because I want to talk about influence, like Hawaiian influence on that. How does being based in Hawaii shape your approach to floral? I don't want to say design because I know you're not a designer, but to everyday floral design and operations as opposed to being here in the States.
Right. So I think because we have access to tropical flowers, we're going to probably do more tropicals than the normal floral shop will do in the rest of the United States. But it's not that much of a difference. And I think people think that if they come to Hawaii, it's going to be all tropicals, but it really isn't. I mean, I think about 25% maybe of our business is using tropical flowers, and then the rest are coming from all over the world. And I think that is probably the biggest challenge that we have and the biggest difference, because everything has to be imported here. It is
Mhm.
sourcing, logistics, and
Yeah.
making it sure it gets here in a usable fashion is so critical. And so when we talk about the history and how we evolved, I can elaborate a little bit more on that.
So, what are the popular? I mean, you said tropical, but like lean into that more. So, what are the most popular flowers requests that you get?
Typically anthuriums. Anthuriums are going to be your most versatile flower. We do a lot of heliconia. We do a lot of ginger here in Hawaii as well. The heliconia especially tends to be more of an anchor piece for larger pieces. But anthuriums we use in almost all of our tropical pieces. We incorporate some anthuriums because people love anthuriums.
But what you're saying is that's only about 25% of the business is the tropicals.
Yeah.
Other flowers, what are your most popular flowers in the store? Is it roses or like garden roses, peonies?
It is still roses. And the reason for that is because Watanabe Floral, we're almost 80 years old, but we started as a rose growing operation. That's how Watanabe Floral started.
Wow.
Back in 1946, Mr. Watanabe, Ernest Watanabe, was deployed to the military right before he and his wife were going to get married. So right there as a translator for the U.S. Army in Australia, he looked around and said, there's so many of us that are going to get married when we get back. He was a chemist major and he had a passion for flowers and started growing roses right outside the barracks in Australia. And so when he came back after World War II, he started to grow roses in the backyard of his grandfather's house. And that's how Watanabe Floral got started. So we were rose growers from 1946 till 2008. And then over time, we started to evolve. So in 1974, we became the first company to import flowers into the state. So up until that point, we were just growing roses and selling it to flower shops. Then in 74, we're like, well, what else do you guys want? And so they were like, we want baby's breath and we want carnations. And that's how Watanabe Floral wholesale business started. So in 74, we were growers and we were wholesalers. And then in the mid 80s, we started to do retail as well. And that was more out of necessity because more and more of the florists were getting access to direct farms. Yep. So they started to buy from other sources. So it became a situation, well, losing some of our wholesale business, we're going to have to compete on the retail side. So we started to sell our roses like the day old bread model. Whatever the florist didn't take today, the public could have at tomorrow. And we were selling baker's dozens for $2, $3, and $4 a dozen. And that's how the retail operations took place. So over time, there's been a tremendous evolution to where we started and where we are now. It's like two completely different companies.
That is so cool. Wow.
Are you still wholesale also?
Yes. So right now, like I said, we no longer grow. And again, I think similar to what you saw a lot in California, when South America really took off, they pretty much wiped out a lot of the growing operations in terms of being able to compete. So we tried to a while find a niche where South America is growing bigger flowers that last longer because they're exporting. We tried to grow more fragrant roses that we could cut, ship, and get to people within 24 hours. But over time, we just couldn't compete from a financial standpoint, which is why we got out of that. But we still do about 50% of our business is retail. So we do everything a retail florist will do. About 25% of our business is still direct to floral shops wholesale. And then the other 25% is mass market. So in Hawaii, we service the Targets, the Walmarts. We provide the lei for Costco. We provide the flowers for Sam's Club. So it's a pretty vertically based company doing a lot of things. And I think that what has helped us over time, because typically when retail is down, people gravitate towards the mass markets because they're trying to save money. So it kind of insulates us from major issues unless it's COVID and everyone gets shut down. But other than that, it kind of protects us. So it's something that's challenging from a logistical standpoint and a staffing standpoint, but it kind of insulates us from extreme financial crisis.
And it keeps you from being bored, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Oh my gosh.
That's why the whole tariff situation was such a nightmare, because you can't just
Ugh.
go to Costco and Sam's Club and Walmart and say, we need to raise our prices. They told me I need to know what flower comes from what country and what that percentage is from that particular country. And so that's something that we had to do. So the entire month of April, I've been here for 28 years. The month of April was the most stressful month in my 28 years at Watanabe Floral, trying to navigate this before you hit the month of May, which is by far our busiest month of the year. It was important that we fine tune all the costing and pricing before we get to our biggest month, or else it would have been a real problem.
Yeah, it was a make or break it situation for the month of April for you. Whew.
And I think Vonda kind of got it kick out of it too. I don't know how else to say it, but when we would be in these meetings like Shop Talk and some of our webinars with our members, and Vonda is in her kindest way possible pleading with some of our members and trying to show them as why they need to check their pricing. And we would be looking and you're over there nodding up and down, and still so many of them just refusing to change prices. And your name would come up in our director's meeting going, at least Monty gets it.
I
But
mean,
it's because you're on the other end having to nickel and dime everything on your end. And you're like, oh my gosh,
yeah.
we have to.
Yes,
We
you
have
definitely
to.
do. Margins are so critical. So if you have a situation where you're afraid that pricing is going to reduce demand, if you don't increase pricing and you lose demand, you've just compounded the situation. So yeah, I'm glad you sent all those things that you were sending. And that's really all you can do, is provide the information. And then it's up to everyone to take it to heart and execute. But like I said, we were terrified to not have everything fine-tuned by May, because for us, May is 50% busier than any other month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was scary. So you are one of the largest floral operations in Hawaii, and you kind of just told us a story on how you've evolved over the years. What systems and strategies have helped you maintain consistency? What has kept your business so incredibly busy all of these years? Do you not have competitors?
Oh, we do. I think that's the challenge for us. We have competitors in so many different industries, right? Everyone is a competitor to us because we play in so many different arenas. But I love this question because it gives me an opportunity to really share what I believe separates Watanabe Floral and why we've been successful for so long. And it has everything to do with our mission and our core values, and making sure that we live that in every decision that we make. So for us, our mission is a ho'omau pono. It's a Hawaiian phrase. Ho'omau means to perpetuate, to be willing to evolve and change. And pono means doing things with righteousness and doing things with morality. So e ho'omau pono means we're going to continue to last, we're going to evolve, but we're always going to do it with morality. And that is our mission. And then our core values kind of support that. So our number one value is the spirit of aloha with lots of love. So our expectation is all of our people treat each other as team members and our guests with that loving spirit. We understand flowers are not a necessity, and we want to express that true gratitude for them choosing to work with us. So that's the first core value. Then people first. Our mindset is not the customer's always right, but people first is having a selfless mindset. Coming to work and approaching the business from a selfless mindset. How can I make the community better? How can I make my coworkers' job easier? How can I be a better person to make a difference? Those are our two main core values that we focus on. And that kind of guides every decision that we make, including one of the ones that we made about 20 years ago, that we shut on Sundays no matter what. And that's something that the founders, was something that was important to them, to have a day to spend with family. So the first Sunday that Valentine's fell on a Sunday and we weren't working, we didn't know what to do. We were like twitching because we were like, oh my gosh, why are we at home?
Yeah.
But over time, we've taught our customers that that's what's going to happen and we're not going to be open. And then they've adapted to that. So we're always closed on Mother's Day. When Valentine's falls on a Sunday, we're closed. But again, it's really living your values and not deviating from the values for financial purposes. It's really focusing on what is best for your team, what is best for everyone associated with Watanabe Floral, and not deviating from that. And I honestly believe that that is why we've been successful for such a long time.
I believe it.
I
I
do
love that. Do you have those posted anywhere? Those values? Have those posted anywhere in the business?
Yes, we do. So in our main showroom, we have 4 by 16 banners throughout the building with each of those. So it'll say E Ho'omau
Right.
Pono and what it means. It'll say the spirit of Aloha, and they're all over the showroom. So it's top of mind
Right.
continually. And every single person that's hired at Watanabe Floral, before they start, I meet with them and I go over all of our core values and I give them a company history. Because the further and further away we get from the founders, the harder it is to tie the founders and what they believed in and how they wanted to do the business to the new people. So
Yeah.
I take that upon myself to make that connection so that they understand from day one, this is our expectation of how you're going to treat people and why this is our expectation. So they know that from day one.
That's so good. So, so, so good. You talked about customers not always right. Year one, we talked about that and the whole that's a myth, right? We should be kind, always be kind to the customer, but they're not always right. But your shop does have a very strong reputation with customers. You have our prep school, our customer service training, and your philosophy is customer centric, right? We want to give great care. How do you go about making sure every one of your employees is extending the best customer service possible? Like, how do you monitor that?
That I think was one of the biggest challenges I had when I first started the general manager part of the business is
Yeah.
getting people to understand that mindset. And I think because we are fairly larger, I do think we have the ability to do customer service in a better way. And what I mean by that is Amazon has completely changed the game in terms of the customer experience and the customer expectation. So for us, I tell my staff, if you're dealing with a situation that there's a complaint and somebody is being adamant, whether we are right or wrong, we will make it right for them. And I understand that in the long run, it's much more valuable to have a customer for life than it is to win every transaction. And that's the mindset that has had to change in some of my people that are like,
Yeah.
this is beautiful. It looks perfect. Why are they grumbling? I don't want to give them a refund.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to
Yeah.
change that mindset to be like, it's okay. We're going to
Yeah.
lose this one, but we're going to win long
Right.
term. And then having that mindset is where your guests can get confidence in you that you're going to execute. Because we're dealing with perishables. We're not going to be perfect. Not every
Exactly.
single thing that we put out there is going to last for 2 weeks. It's not going to happen. But how you react to that gives them confidence to keep coming back over and over and
Yep.
over and talking about you to their friends so that
Yep.
you can use word of mouth. And word of mouth goes
Yep.
2 ways. You know, when you
Yes.
don't do something for someone, it's 10 times worse than when you do something good for someone.
1,000,000%. And when I've talked to employees that struggle with that, because we all have a little bit of that, let's go back to your word righteous, which is one of my favorite words. It's that righteous anger in us. Like, we shouldn't replace this. Like, I get that. We all have those. And you just don't want to because you know it's a great product. Here's the thing. Yes, it is beautiful, but you can still replace it and say, I'm so sorry you aren't happy with
Right.
this.
Exactly.
Just, you don't have to say it's not pretty because let's be honest, everybody knows it probably is, but it's how you say it. Just, I'm so sorry you weren't satisfied or you weren't happy with it. Doesn't mean it wasn't beautiful, but just in the language, and then you still replace it. You just take one for the team, take your emotion out of it,
Exactly.
and remember, you are the face of the company when you do that. You're representing the entire company. You're not just representing Lori.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I go one step further is not only that are they representing the entire company, but they're representing our entire industry. Because
Well, true.
we all can get each other in trouble if the industry starts to lack on their level of commitment to
Oh,
their
gosh.
people and their service. So,
Oh,
yeah,
you are so right. My God. And most people don't think about that. Most people just think it's my shop. I make the decisions based on what I'm doing and not look at the big picture, the whole industry.
Yes. Yeah, that is so true. And a perfect example that I'm seeing that in an industry right now is the beauty salon, the hair care, because Vonda's going to love this. I'm blaming TikTok because there are a lot of hairstylists on there and they're getting a bad rap because of the amount they charge. So hang with me here because there is a parallel. And people are getting mad because on top of how much they charge, they also require a tip and people are commenting. So there are these few groups, but then people are going, the whole industry is doing this. And I'm reading through that and I'm like, wow, like they're taking down the whole industry with them. And so both of you guys are exactly right. They just take down everybody.
Yeah, they can.
A small group of people doing things like that can take down because they look at it as a whole because it's not needed, right? I just go buy them at Trader Joe's or I'll just go do this or that. So you're exactly right. But I think you do a really good job navigating that because you have so many employees and yet everyone is trained and educated very well on how to be great at customer care.
We reward them as well. So if there's a 5-star review that comes in that specifically mentions someone's name, I immediately give them $20 cash. It's not the biggest thing.
Right.
It's an immediate recognition that what they did resulted in this review. So they're much more motivated to try to do that without just hunting reviews, but it's a way to reinforce what you're trying to accomplish. And then it goes into our incentive programs as well. We're trying to control the actions by creating financial incentives for them to do what we want them to do.
Yeah. Positive reinforcement.
Mm-hmm.
It works. It works so well. People are always asking me for examples of incentive programs for like designers or delivery drivers. Do you have incentive programs for every segment of your business or just for customer service?
Well, we do. We have incentives for everyone because a driver can get a 5-star review. So that's one of them.
Yeah.
But the designers have the most comprehensive one that's tied to their production. So we have a template, a formula that we actually got from the Oscar guys from South Carolina when they still owned the business there. Back at 2014 SAF.
Okay.
That was Phoenix.
Yeah. Tiger Lily, right?
Tiger Lily. And I took that formula and I brought it back here and we adapted it a little bit because in Hawaii, you're mandatory health insurance and there's so many mandatory things. So if you're building a formula, it has to account for all of those total labor costs. So we have a specific one for our design team. Our sales team, they have incentives to upsell. So if they're upselling anything, they're sharing in a percentage of that. If they're hitting a certain threshold in an order, they get a percentage of that. And then there's a team component. If we hit our sales goals as a team, my managers get a percentage on a monthly basis. The sales team gets a percentage. One of the things we struggled with from our transportation and operational team is just getting them to show up at work, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So we threw in a $100 incentive. If you have perfect attendance every month, you get an extra $100. And so not that changed the actions of everyone, but what it did was those that are regularly there felt vindicated that them showing up for work every day is being rewarded.
Absolutely.
So that has worked. But those are 3 different types of incentive programs that we have in place.
Love that.
That segues into my question I wanted to ask you about generations. Do you see a difference in your different generation of employees like Gen Z, Gen X, Millennial, in those as far as how the type of worker they are? And do you market differently to the different generations? Or are they all basically the same?
Oh, no, there's definite differences. So from the team member standpoint, I mean, the younger workers, I don't want to say that they don't have a strong work ethic, but they don't take the job as seriously as someone who's older. It's just a part of their day. The main part of
Yeah.
their day is what they're
Yeah.
doing outside of work, and work is just an inconvenience that they have to go through to pay the
Right,
bills.
right, right.
My older generation team members are focused on just doing the best thing, and they're there every day, and they're willing to work the extra hours. You don't necessarily see that in some of the younger team members. So one of the biggest challenges as a manager is how do you integrate all of these people? When I have people literally in their 70s and then I have people in their teens still, how do you get them to seamlessly work together? And that's been a challenge at times because, like I said, the work ethics are different. The first time some of my 60-year-olds heard one of my younger team members say, "Hey, I'm not coming in today because I need a mental health day." They almost lost their mind when they heard that for the first time.
I'll bet.
But that does happen. And then again, it's just trying to build the bridges and get them to understand each other and highlight the positives of each generation. On the marketing side, yes, we do things differently as well. We use social media primarily to target the younger people. They're on social media. That's what they've grown up with. That's what they know. So trying to tell the story so that they understand things that are important to them. So the younger people are concerned about sustainability. They're concerned about what are you doing in the community to make it better. So we like to highlight those things through social media to, again, build that relationship because business, that's all it is. It's how we can build the best relationships with as many people as possible. And so we kind of use social media to target them. And then we use traditional media like TV to go after our older people, our boomers and our Gen Xers.
Yeah. I was listening to Amy Poehler's podcast the other day because she makes me laugh. Neither of you probably listened to her, but she was talking about the different generations. And I was laughing so hard. She was talking about how the different generations think of money. And the reason I was cackling is because I have, like, my husband's a boomer. I'm Gen X. I have 2 millennials, and then I have a Gen Z child. So we got them all. She said the boomer is like, it's all about money. Everything is money.
That's Mark.
Yeah, that's my husband. Gen X is, it's not everything's about money. Things are about fun. Millennial is, where's my money? I'm not going to do anything unless you pay me. And Gen Z is, what's money?
Well, exactly.
Which is my youngest. Has no concept and doesn't really care about anything. And I was like, oh my God, this is all so true. So anyway, I can't take credit for that. That's all Amy Poehler. But I felt like she went inside my brain. I was like, when we do marketing, that's what we need to be thinking about. Like, she's right. In a lot of ways, she's right.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Anyway,
Definitely.
it made me laugh. So who inspires you, Monty, in this industry? I think you're just naturally happy, but I mean, what keeps you motivated and inspired to keep going?
Well, I think for me, my biggest influence on how I do anything I do, whether it be at Watanabe Floral, I coached my daughter's soccer teams for 15 years until they graduated. My uncle was my biggest influence. He was a drama teacher at a high school, but he won every award nationally that you could possibly win. But it wasn't the winning of awards. It was how he treated every single person. His home was open to his students. We would fly from the Big Island to Honolulu and spend some time with them. And I'd wake up and there'd be like 20 kids there that just didn't have places to go. And it was just this welcoming commitment to bettering each person. And that had a lasting impact for me growing up. And so what I always want to do is take any situation is how can I make it better? How can I influence your life and make you better? He was that major influence for me. Now, I think it's just, especially being here in Hawaii, you're so disconnected from what's happening all over the place. It's just getting on your shop talks and getting on, the SAF ultimate roundtables and just hearing what is happening at other places and just being a little bit more intentional and being connected to everything else. It becomes easier to stay motivated And I'm a challenge-oriented person. So the more knowledge, the more you see what's going on elsewhere, you can always find ways to be like, oh, I want to do that, or I want to do this, or let's try this. And so if you're closed off and you don't try to expose yourself to what's going on out there, it's very easy to get into a rut. And we're in an industry that if you get into a rut, you can go out pretty quickly. You have to continue to evolve.
I agree. You have to be pretty innovative, constantly thinking about what you could do. Well, so speaking of, what advice would you give to a florist, like a new florist? We have a lot of Flower Click members that are relatively new to this industry.
There have been a lot of flower shops that have sold within the last year. Which is great. At least haven't closed, right? So we have new people in the industry are just getting started. And so, I think that's a question, Lori. What would you suggest to them, Monty, for that?
Yeah. And I think that's where there's no substitute for hard work and continually learning and just marketing. I think a lot of people in this industry, especially if you're just starting, and we see this here in Hawaii because they come in as wholesale customers. They just love flowers and they love designing. But they have no business acumen. And that can only take, that passion for flowers can only take you so far. So it's really making sure you understand the financial component of it and really understand how important the marketing is. And then the building of relationships. So I think one of our successes in terms of our growth has been the relationships I've been able to build with all of our media partners that I think many people, they think that that's out of reach and that's not possible and I can't do that. But when I first started at Watanabe Floral, I had no marketing budget, zero. So everything that I had to do had to be bartered. So I had to find a way to get TV stations and radio stations to give me access for no cash. Now, over time, we've evolved, but once you've established that relationship and you've become their expert, their go-to on anything, you've already built such a level of credibility that the marketing becomes even easier. So I think even someone starting new, maybe if you're in a smaller town, reach out to the newspaper, reach out to the radio station, reach out to the television station and just say, hey, this is my situation. This is what I can offer you. Is there a role for me to play in this? And then kind of go from there. But I see a lot of people who just love playing with flowers. And I'd only take it so far because you need to make the sale. You need to get people interested in you. And then you need to make sure that you're executing the business financially profitably or else it's not going to last. I think that's where I miss out.
Vonda and I talk to a lot of florists that are new and they come in and they're completely overwhelmed because they bought because they loved flowers. And now 6-7 months in, they're like, what the heck have I gotten myself into? And they just truly did not understand the business side. And it's really heartbreaking, but it can be done. But it's a shocking awakening for them.
But I think what you said, there's no substitute for hard work. A lot of them come in, it's like, oh, this is fun. Well, it is fun, but being in the business as long as we have, and I'm a designer, so I know how hard work it is, holiday or not holiday time. It is fun, and you take that all in, but
it's also
no substitute for hard work. That's right.
Really hard. Okay, so everything you just said led me to the next question because you're talking about network and relationships and education. SAF convention coming up. One of the very first time I ever met you was at an SAF convention. This one coming up in August is going to be back in Phoenix. You are going to be on a panel. Vonda and Tim Farrell are presenting. Tell us about the panel you're going to be on.
I'm on a staffing panel. So are you understaffed or are you staffed correctly? Productivity tips. So it's Sam Bowles, Keith Rockcastle, and I will be on that one. So we'll have fun with that.
Oh, that's going to be a good one. Sam's one of my dear friends. I love him. That will be really, really good one. I don't know many shops right now that are overstaffed, but understaffed, yes.
Exactly. And productivity ideas would be great.
The staffing part is the biggest challenge right now.
That is definitely a hard one. All right. If you were not working there right now, what would you be doing?
That's a good question. Like, I love sports. So my dream job would be to be a general manager of a professional sports team. I mean, I think that would be so much fun.
Which sport?
Basketball is my favorite sport.
Basketball. Yeah.
But
Okay.
a general manager in any sport, basketball, baseball, or football, I think would be great. Now, we don't have that in Hawaii. We don't have any professional sports, so that's a thing. But I also do a number of television appearances, and I enjoy that world. I've actually co-hosted a local TV show as a celebrity guest, and that's fun. So I think maybe something in media would be something that I would be interested in as well.
Well, you have a podcast. Are you still doing your podcast?
We do. It's just a buddy of mine that started during COVID. He had just lost his job, and it was like his kids, he has 3 daughters. I have 2 daughters, and the 5 of them are all best friends.
Yeah.
We were just hanging out one day, and the kids were like, you guys should just do a podcast because we're just arguing at the dinner table about sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so his daughter did a jingle. My daughter did the artwork. And then voila, we just talk. We still do it on a weekly basis. We record on Sundays. We release it on Monday. And it's just for fun. It's just something to keep him busy and to keep the families connected.
I love
that. I love that. I think it's great because Vonda and I both love sports too. And you said that Caitlin Clark is going to be in her team.
So when SAS first released the dates, it was the week before.
Oh,
then they moved that because Caitlin's going to be there August 8th. And so we were going to be there at the time during that week, but now we're the week after, so she'll be gone.
Dang it, because I think I told Sam Bowles, because he and his wife Chelsea.
Yeah.
I was like, I told them, and so now it's over. Dang it, I was excited. I was like, oh, I mean, let's go. Let's get a group and go.
Yes, that would have been fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that have been fun, Vonda? I think I even told you because I was like, you were going to get Julie to go to SAF.
Yep, exactly.
She's
the Iowa girl.
Clark.
Yep.
Well, Monty, it's just been a delight having you on here. We could talk to you for another hour probably on all things.
You are so inspiring. It's just great to hear you and your enthusiasm and all that you have to offer everyone. And we just really appreciate you.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys. You guys bring that positive energy. And like I told you from the very beginning, Laura, you're so different. Your guys' style is so different from Tim Huckabee's. And I still communicate with Tim all the time. But when we flew him to Hawaii to do a training. The knowledge was good, but my staff was like, ooh, that's too New York.
Yeah.
Hawaii people are way.
He's a friend of mine.
Right, Vonda, you've been to Kauai. My staff is like those people, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't resonate as much as when I showed them your guys' videos from the beginning. I think you're so much more relatable. And I also have a predominantly female staff. And so even that is much more relatable to all of you guys as well. So, I appreciate all the information you guys put out, the opportunities to talk to you. Yeah, you guys are amazing.
Well, it takes all of us, right, to create a great, healthy, happy industry. And we will see you in August.
Yes, I'll see you in Phoenix. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We hope you enjoyed spending time with us because we enjoy spending time with you. If you did, make sure you hit that subscribe button or add the Business and Pleasure of Flowers to your Google morning routine or your flash briefing on Alexa. We look forward to seeing you next week.
So please come back and join us and discover how a bit of knowledge and one small change in your mindset can take you to new levels in your life and business.